The harsh isolation of space cannot be matched on Earth, but one place comes close to this harshness. Space and humans are not a perfect mix. Scientists are continually discovering new kinds of health risks associated with space related to how factors like microgravity and cosmic radiation affect our bones, organs, and more. But prolonged exposure to the environment of space is not just a concern for our bodies. What about our minds? The psychological effects of extreme isolation and confinement during long term space travel and missions to other planets still represent a big unknown. If we're ever going to successfully travel through space and even colonize other worlds, we need to understand much more about what happens to people stuck in unforgiving places for long periods while very, very far from home. As it happens, there's a scientific name for these hostile habitats: isolated confinement, extreme ice environments. There is even a field of research in which scientists probe the psychological impacts of living in conditions analogous to long jaunts in space. Of all the places on Earth to run such experiments, one in particular stands out. The Antarctic is regarded as an ideal analog for space because its extreme environment is characterized by numerous stressors that mirror those present during long duration space exploration. Of course, Antarctica still is normal Earth gravity. Now, a team of researchers led by psychologist Candice Alfano from the University of Houston explained in a 2021 study, saying in addition to small crews and limited communication during Antarctic winter months, the environment offers little sensory stimulation, and extended periods of darkness and harsh weather conditions restrict outdoor activity. Evacuation is difficult, if not impossible. Now, in her research, Alfano and her team leveraged the natural hardship of Antarctica's difficult conditions, monitoring the psychological health and development of the personnel living and working at two remote Antarctic research stations during the 9-month study period. The psychologist devised a monthly self-reporting tool called the Mental Health Checklist, designed to measure emotional states and mental health, including positive adaptation, feelings of control and inspiration, poor self-regulation, feelings of restlessness, inattentiveness and tiredness, and anxious apprehension, feeling of worry and obsessed over things. In addition, physical symptoms of illness experienced by personnel were monitored and rated, and saliva samples were collected to assess cortisol levels as a biomarker of stress. Ultimately, the results showed that the participants' positive adaptations decreased over the course of their Antarctic posting, while poor self-regulating emotions increased. We observed significant changes in psychological functioning, but patterns of change for specific aspects of mental health differed, Alfano says. The most marked alterations were observed for positive emotions, such that we saw continuous declines from the start to the end of the mission, without evidence of a bounce-back effect, as participants were preparing to return home. According to researchers, much previous research in this area has focused on negative emotional states triggered by the conditions of isolated, confined, and extreme environments. But it's possible we've been missing out on another simultaneous problem. Diminishing positive feelings over long stays in difficult places appeared to be an almost universal response to the ice conditions, whereas changes in negative emotion levels were more varied between individuals. Alfano said positive emotions such as satisfaction, enthusiasm, and awe are essential features for thriving in high-pressure settings. Interventions and countermeasures aimed at enhancing positive emotions may therefore be critical in reducing psychological risk in extreme settings, end quote. This was from Acta Astronautica, first published April 2021 on Science Alert by Peter Dockrell. Well, I still don't think it matches being out in space, because you never know if you're out in space if you're ever going to come back. And you never know what kind of problems you're going to face. Aka Apollo 14. when they almost didn't come back because they were low on their oxygen, I believe. So anyway, please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.